Hello everyone, a warm welcome to you all. I am Kanak Samuel from Hotelogix today, and we have hoteliers joining us from all across US and Canada. I'm excited to welcome Mr. Fernando Oliveira, who handles the Review Express globally at TripAdvisor, and Mr. John Pribble, who is an independent hotelier as well as a design and marketing strategist, who is actually using this software himself and would give you an insight on how the software works. I would request you all to type your questions in the chat box during the webinar. Our presenters will try and to answer as many questions possible when the webinar ends. Over to you, Fernando.
So I'm happy to be here again with you. I mean, really, the points I wanted to cover with you today, they are around reviews and the power of reviews and how important they are to support your business, your online reputation, and how you can extract, more business out of that. And really, then to mention a product that we have created in partnership with Hotelogix, that you would be able to automate and really drive more reviews for your properties on TripAdvisor. So if you can continue to the next slide. Yes, the next one. Yeah, there you go. So really, I mean, before we get into anything, I just wanted to present to you three types of online content that you're able to produce, that you're able to have control. If you think your website, you're paying for that content, you have complete control of what's happening in your website, but at the end of the day, in terms of level of influence, it can be lower than in terms of driving action. If you go through this and you go to the bottom one and you think of the earned content, those reviews, ratings, blogs, tweets, everything, this is an area that you have a lower level of control, but they are highly influential. And I mean, and it's, you can easily see something that is happening recently, as Trump tweets something and it can impact the stock market. A tweet, a mention on TripAdvisor can have a great impact on your business. And as you go to the next slide, and we see the idea, okay, TripAdvisor, we have over 340 million unique visitors per month. This is globally. So imagine, the power of what's written about your properties, on TripAdvisor, and also how it can impact your business. So it's really just to get you to say, okay, well, this is a massive audience. Am I making the most of this opportunity? Is my property getting the best visibility within this reality, this world that is TripAdvisor? So if you go to the next slide, one thing that we have seen through our researchers with our travelers, our users, is that really reviews, it's a main part of in terms of deciding which property you're going to stay, which hotel you're going to stay. And to be honest, most of the people I speak to, if you're not only thinking of hotels, but any other products that you buy nowadays, you're using reviews to help you decide. An example, a personal example is, recently I went to buy something in a store. So this was, offline, and it was from a brand that I had never seen. So before I bought it, I went online with my phone and I read online reviews about this product so I could make a decision. And this is something, we see happening across the board. This data is, in this slide and the next one, if you go to the next one, again, that you're just supporting this reality where reviews are here to stay. They are extremely important part in the decision process, both for the travelers, but also for hotel owners. They're using this to improve their business, to see areas that they could tweak and provide a better service. The next slide, I think, is quite important to keep in mind. Again, based on research that we've done, both with hotels and travelers, where after price, reviews are the most important factor in deciding where to stay. So price remains an extremely important factor, but combined with that, reviews are right at the top. And as a result of that, you can see in the next slide that business like yours, you're able to profit from that. Hotels that have seen an improvement in their overall rating. If you think of a 5-point scale, so in this example is going from 3.3 to 4.3, they were able to increase their hotel price, by on average 11% without losing any business. So this is just adding to your bottom line. Going to the next slide, I would say that if you can take anything away from today, like from everything that you're going to hear, I would take these 3 points. Reviews are happening. Make them work for you. How can you do that? There's 3 ideas. One is by embracing this reality. Reviews are happening. How can you not fear them and really be part of this conversation? So engage with this conversation. Thank everyone that is writing. Be humble for those that were willing to leave a message, and encourage more of this conversation to happen, more of this earned content to happen. And as you see later on, the Review Express product that's automated via Hotelogix, you focus on this encouragement area. How can you encourage more of your travelers to generate more reviews? Then I'll pass it over to John to talk about his own experience.
Good morning. Welcome to cloudy Ohio. Can everybody hear me? This is my second time in doing this seminar, and I've been a big fan of TripAdvisor since my first opportunity to join a couple years ago. The main reason that I find TripAdvisor to be a strong advantage for my small hotel is that because I only have 5 rooms to my hotel, I don't have a marketing budget to put me on par with a Marriott or a Hilton or even one of the Choice hotels. And so personal reviews reflecting experiences from my guests are the best way for me to build my brand. TripAdvisor has given me the most convenient and the most kind of universally effective way to manage that on behalf of my little hotel. Next slide, please. You can see that it's kind of a positive circle that you get by entering into the review process. We find that it helps us to enhance our customer experience because we get very good feedback from our guests. They'll tell us exactly what is working well for them. They'll tell us exactly what is not working well for them. And then we work actively, and this is to our advantage because we are a smaller hotel, is that I can take feedback from reviews and I can act on it the next day or even the same day. Because I don't have thousands of hotel rooms and locations to try and manage, I can go right to the root of the problem based on the review I've got and fix that, whether it's a personnel problem or it's a maintenance problem or some other sort of facility issue. I can get right to the bottom of it and address it instantly. It helps me improve my search engine optimization ranking because it drives additional traffic to my site and gives me additional search engine tags that I can help use to anchor my page and give it a higher return on different search engines. I reach a wider audience because of the hundreds and thousands, if not millions, of different TripAdvisor subscribers and users worldwide. As I mentioned earlier, it allows me to have an equal footing with some of the more national brands because I'm able to manage that, the reflection of the experience of my guests, and then leverage that to create additional trust and credibility by responding to them and letting them know that they've been heard. My understanding of brand has always been along the lines of the brand is an aggregation of impressions that are made at every point of contact between your company and all of its various constituencies. And by helping to build, or by managing my reviews, that helps to build additional trust and credibility and because it's such a personal thing, it helps to bring my brand on par with some of the major hotels in my area. Since I've started my business 12 years ago, within 1 mile of my location there's been about 1,200 new major hotel rooms have come into my market since I started my little 5-room hotel. And I have been able to build my rates, and I've been able to build my ADR, and I've been able to build my occupancy despite the fact that I've had all those additional rooms come flooding into my market, because I've managed my reviews and been very conscientious about the trust and credibility that I maintain with my guests. And then lastly, the bed and breakfast market has traditionally been kind of the purview of an older boomer demographic segment. And it's been very difficult to try and draw younger people into these smaller hotels because they are not familiar with the brands and they're not familiar with the concept of the bed and breakfast. But they are very savvy about using online. And so I've been able to be successful in using my online tools through Hotelogix and TripAdvisor to be able to tap into that younger millennial audience and in fact convert non-buying guests into buying guests, because I return so well in the search engines. I return highly in TripAdvisor, and I have very active reviews, which allow millennials to understand why people buy and what exactly they're getting with my experience. And with that, back to Fernando.
Thanks, John. I mean, it's excellent to what I like about this this webinar and last time was working with John and bringing to you a real example, not just being me here presenting TripAdvisor. It's great to see somebody actually reaping the benefits of those 3 areas, embracing, engaging, and encouraging, and that's I believe it's exactly what John is doing, and as he shared, he's reaping the benefits of that. I mean, with that, just one area to keep in mind is the confidence in the information. So when a research done in Europe around how travelers, how users trust different sites, TripAdvisor came on top, at the very top in terms of how trust users have around the brand and the site. So again, it just puts the importance on making sure you're engaging with this reality. If we go to the next slide, I just want to highlight 3 areas where hotels have been engaging with TripAdvisor. One, it's around review collection, so it's around the encouragement, which we'll later on cover in terms of what you can do through Hotelogix. The other one is around online integration. So again, it's around embracing your online presence and actually displaying these ratings and reviews on your own site. And what we've seen here is that hotels, this is from chains to independents, they have chosen to embrace that reality and display the TripAdvisor rating and review on their own website. They've seen an improvement in conversion. They actually are able to build loyalty because users are able to stay in their page instead of going to TripAdvisor to read more reviews, and they're able to convert more because users would just be there and trust what they're reading, and they'll be able to make the booking at the end. And the other point is around offline integration. So again, it's about embracing, but then taking that online content and using in their offline marketing and in different ways, through stickers, through brochures, through business cards, encouraging the guests to review, to leave a comment, etc. Just the next slide, we have an actual case study. This was a Swiss-style case study where what you see here is before and after. So before, they were doing a review collection in partnership with TripAdvisor, and after. So if you see on the left side, this was the number of reviews they were collecting. So after they started working with us, they went up by 74%. So on average per month, they were collecting 74% more reviews. What we've seen is that the average rating actually went up. And you may ask yourself, okay, why would that go up? What we've seen over and over across the board is that when hotels are actively encouraging all their guests to review their properties on TripAdvisor, the overall rating that they have tends to go up, because they are addressing, all those people kind of in the middle positive side, where they had a they had a good experience. Maybe they were not thinking about reviewing the property, but once they received that thank you note and that encouragement, they're more likely to write a review. So you start getting lots of 4s, 4.5s, 3.5s, and that can help your average rating go up. And then at the end, at the far right, you see that their direct traffic. So the traffic from TripAdvisor to their page where they can drive direct business went up by 48%. And ultimately, they saw an increase in their direct bookings, which is one of the goals that, one of the key goals for most hotels, independent or chains. So if we go to the next slide now, I would like to highlight the actual product, Review Express. This, we can go to the next slide already. This is a product that exists. We initially launched on TripAdvisor as a product available only on the site. But what it actually is an emailing tool where you can customize an email template and you can send to all your guests. And it's about thanking them and inviting them to review your property on TripAdvisor. Once you've done that, you're able to monitor the performance of these emails that you're sending. So we'll tell you how many were opens, what was the bounce rate, how many clicks, and how many reviews you actually collected. In addition to that, if we go to the next slide, all the reviews that are collected out of this tool, they get a tag on TripAdvisor that says review collected in partnership with this hotel. So from the point of view of the user, they can see that the hotel is actively engaged with TripAdvisor and is encouraging more reviews. This is a positive sign from the user point of view, from the traveler point of view. And today we have, we go to the next slide. Today we have over 100,000 hotels that have been using this tool globally. This is both manually and automated. And on average, they see an increase of, they're collecting 33% more reviews. I've seen cases where they managed to collect 80% more reviews, but on average, 33% more reviews you're likely to see. I just want to highlight one other case study in the next slide, which is the Meriton Service Apartments from Australia. They've been using the tool, and their numbers were incredible. They've been able to collect 65% more reviews, and 10 out of 13 properties that they have on TripAdvisor improved their rankings. So the other 3, they were already highly ranked, so they're able to maintain a high rank, and they were actually able to get 60% more page views, and ultimately more direct business. I think if we go to the next slide there. So really, the benefits of this Review Express, there is no cost on TripAdvisor or Hotelogix. You're actually able to choose to do this through your Hotelogix system, and it's fast and easy. You're able, as I showed, to drive additional exposure, which is very valuable to you. You're able to customize the template. This template is customizable in multiple languages. So you're able to not only drive reviews in one language, but you could drive reviews in Japanese, in German, in French, Italian, whatever. If there is a market that you see a potential, but you say, oh, I don't have reviews, I don't have content in that language, you could leverage Review Express to drive content in that language. It's also, it's a systematic process to encourage more reviews. It's a high contribution rate, from all the emails that you send, it's around 6%. So you be generating 6% in reviews. As I said, it's supported in all languages, and on top of that, you're able to monitor the performance through this dashboard. Now, I'll pass over to John again to talk about his case.
Hello again. That's my lovely little garden in the back of my hotel. If you ever happen to find yourself in Central Ohio, I'd be happy to host you back there and sit by the fire and enjoy a beer or a glass of wine with you. Next slide, please. All right, so this is how I manage my TripAdvisor Review Express tool for my hotel. So this gives you a look at what I see on my end. You can see that I have nearly 300 reviews. The vast majority of them are very good. Fortunately for me, we work very hard to manage our reputation, and we really have our philosophy is that unless it's 100% perfect, satisfied guest experience, then we still have work to do to improve our product. So you see that most of the time we do very well at that. We still always have work to do to improve. Next slide, please. There are a couple sample reviews that you see from very recently. One of the things that I would like to point out, if you look at the bottom review on the left, the one that says a lovely little gem, that person has one review, and that's the review that they just left on on the TripAdvisor site for my hotel. And I think if you look through the list of people that have reviewed my hotel, there are quite a few of them, and I'm not sure what percentage off the top of my head, but quite a few that are first-time reviewers. So what I've been able to do is, because they've had such a positive experience with me, I've been able to bring them into the TripAdvisor universe and help them become TripAdvisor customers in order to review my hotel in response to the prompt that they received from me through TripAdvisor Express. And so I think this is a real benefit to me, and it's a real benefit to TripAdvisor, and it improves the relationship between our two companies, because I'm helping to drive more people into their fold, and they see that, and they also see that, you know, the person above that, the level 3 contributor that has 17 reviews in 4 different hotels, that's beneficial to me as well, because then I can see that that's a very experienced traveler that has a lot of different they've been to a lot of different places, and they can give me a very objective feedback on my hotel experience because they have these other experiences to compare them to. So whether it's a first-time person or a multiple-time person, they both have different types of information for me to glean out of that and fold back into my marketing operation. Next slide, please. By automating my Review Express, so essentially every time a guest is checked out of my Hotelogix register, then they are automatically sent an email from TripAdvisor that is identified as being promoted by me, but it comes from TripAdvisor directly, so it's got some, you know, it looks like there's some objectivity. You can tell that it's going to go back to TripAdvisor. It's not going to come to me. I'm not going to have a chance to kind of influence what that review says prior to it being published on TripAdvisor. And that's comforting to my guests, so that they feel like their real feelings and experiences are going to be reflected. They're not going to be modified in any way that will then reflect poorly on them or say something that they didn't mean to say. So by doing this, I've increased my reviews by at least 300%. I've maintained the #1 ranking in my market for most of the last 10 years. And again, that's with a number of different properties coming online, and there being much more competition, not only for, you know, guests and heads and beds, but a lot more competition for TripAdvisor reviews. And I think that helps everybody up their game. And the fact that I know that if my reviews aren't good, there's going to be somebody else that's going to be trying to take my spot as #1 in the market, and they're going to be working to provide a better product. And so those are the kinds of things that keep me motivated and keep me and my staff working hard. And by having that feedback, it helps us to focus on the right things. Next slide, please. So the benefits of the automated reviews is, first of all, because I run a very small hotel, I have a very small staff, and I run a very tight ship. I don't have to dedicate a person and a specific time to being, to doing that on a consistent basis. And if any of the people that are in the audience today are small hotel owners, you understand what I'm saying, and that every time you start down one path to take care of one thing, something else pops up and you get distracted, and it's very difficult to complete any tasks, let alone the ones that that are kind of marketing driven and technical and maybe not everybody's favorite thing to do. By having those automated, I don't have to worry about it. All I have to do is wait for feedback to show up in my inbox, in my mailbox or email box, and on the TripAdvisor site. So by having it automated, I have a higher probability of getting reviews because they go out immediately as soon as we check that guest out. I don't have to wait for me to have free time and wait for me to get around to it. Those reviews come in consistently, so I'm getting them all the time because guest in, guest out. Every time there's a guest out, there's a new review request going out. It helps me to continually work on optimizing my online reputation. When we do a lot of training, but as I'm sure all of you know, you can never do enough. And especially when I've got a new employee, it helps me to kind of fine tune what's working well and what's not working well, and to be able to show them, here's the issues that we're having, here's the issues we've had in the past, here's what we need to do to correct that. As I mentioned earlier, that really helps me, the automated reviews really help me to compete with the major national brands, because I have a real reputation reflector in real time, and I don't have to worry about spending millions of dollars through advertising and public relations to build that brand on a national or international level. I can use TripAdvisor and real feedback from real guests in real time to get that message out to my my next customers. As I mentioned earlier, it frees up resources. I do still make sure that I respond to every review that I get, whether it's positive or negative. And I think that this is an important point, that everybody that's taken time to give a review deserves me putting in the time to give them some honest feedback on the back end. I think that quid pro quo there is fair, and it shows that I'm paying attention, and it shows that the guests, to the guests, that they're being heard. And I think positive or negative, that's the main thing that a guest wants to know, is that did my feedback get through? Did it make a difference? And so I'm able to leverage that to create a much better product, and have a much happier guest base on the back end. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. All right, so it's very simple to set this up. If you go to the Review Express Management Center, you can see that you need to open up the Review Express window, opt in, and make sure that you've identified your hotel system. So you'll have to opt into the system. They don't do it automatically. They're not taking anything out of your control. You have to tell TripAdvisor this is what you want to do. Next slide, please. There's terms and conditions. You'll need to confirm your official email or business email address, so that you'll be able to get the reviews back into your inbox as they come in from the guests. Next slide, please. You'll be able to customize your email. So I have my German Village Guest House brand message in the subject line with a request for a review. I've been able to upload a photo and my logo. I've added the text to to customize it a little bit for my particular guest experience, and then I save this template. And then I click continue to send, and that pretty much is as easy as it gets. And once it's set and forget. Once you've programmed it, unless you want to go in and change some other feature, you don't really need to worry about what it's doing or how it's functioning. You'll know because you'll see the reviews automatically roll in. The next feature, next slide, please. I'm going to turn this back over to Fernando, but I just want to mention that I have signed up for this in my most recent renewal of TripAdvisor. I find that this is a tool that I'm going to be able to use to really look at specific things in my business. So maybe I don't have a front desk, so I have a check-in process that allows my guests to come and go as they please without having to encounter any people. And some people find that to be a great thing, and some people are less enthusiastic about it. And if you look at the only what I would consider subpar review I've had in the last 3 or 4, maybe 5 or 6 years has been a guest that found that to be problematic, whereas 99% of my guests find it to be great. So that's by using this new private survey tool, I can drill down on that particular part of the overall guest house experience and see what guests feel about that particular issue, and then I can manage and modify as necessary. I don't get that kind of specific feedback from the overall reviews. I think that this new private survey tool is really going to be helpful for those kinds of things. But since I don't have any experience using it yet, I'm going to turn it back over to Fernando for
now. Thank you, John. And thanks for the great example again. One thing I want to highlight before we jump into the private survey is that, as John mentioned in his own example, he managed to maintain his high ranking within TripAdvisor. And I think it's important to highlight here 3 important areas in this around ranking, which is the quantity of reviews that you have, is the recency of reviews. So that importance of keep on collecting reviews, and it's the quality of the reviews. And I think, as we clearly shown up to now, these 2 can support all 3. In terms of getting the quantity, the quality is very likely to improve as you're encouraging everybody. John highlighted some people that had only 1 review. Maybe it's something that they don't do normally, but because he, said thank you and he encouraged them to do that, they wrote a review, and it was a very positive review. So just keep that in mind, as you consider, whether or not using a tool like this. The other thing, it's around this private survey. So why do we call it private survey? Because it literally is, it's a private survey. We're not publishing this anywhere. It's only for purely for your own information, and you can use to help you, manage your business, improve it, and etc. So this is the traditional guest satisfaction survey that large hotel chains, they use, and they pay lots of money for it. We created a simplified survey, which it's free as part of Review Express. Again, you can automate it through the Hotelogix implementation. What happens here is that once you use Review Express and you automate, what's happening is that the template that John showed before that you can customize, that's being sent to the traveler. The traveler will click on the write a review button and will be taken to the review form. Now, if you decide to use the private survey feature, you will customize the survey. You can add up to 7 questions from a set, different categories that we have already pre-created. One of them, it's a free text one that if I were to suggest, okay, you use only 1 question, this would be the question I would say use, which is, asking the guests to share what you would improve in your hotel, what you do differently. But once you publish this survey, when the guest gets the same email that you saw that you can customize, they click on write a review. What happens then is that they're first asked to answer the survey. after they answer the survey, they will write a review. They're also able to skip the survey and go straight to the review. But if we move to the next slide now, the same survey that you sent, you're able to then monitor the performance on the dashboard that we offer. So you're able to download the results and then read them and decide on how you use them. But it's a very powerful tool that we, since we've launched about a year ago, we've seen an amazing take on this tool, and I've seen amazing results from speaking directly with the hotels, how they were able to leverage this, and they were, it's very positive, the feedback we got so far. Now we're just coming to the end. The next slide, it's just some frequently asked questions. So, what is the cost of Review Express? As I said, it's free. It's free on Hotelogix. It's free on TripAdvisor. How do we protect your guest information? That's very important for us, and I'm sure for you. So all the information you'll pass to us through this connectivity, which is the email of the guest, the date of checkout, and we store that in a completely separate area, and it's access is limited to specific people in the team. And do we use that information for any other purpose? No, it's purely used to send this email, which you have opted in to do so. We're not doing any marketing, anything to this person, to this information you pass to us. And what happens if for any reason you're passing the information to us that's for the same guest? And what we have, we have what we call suppression rules. So we will not be emailing the same guest twice, many times. We know that we mailed this guest in the past 30 days, so he or she wouldn't get another email. If the guest writes a review, again, they wouldn't get another email in a period of time, and so on. I think, if we can move to the next slide, just some final piece of information. We have lots of information online, and we have a page that's called TripAdvisor Insights, which is our blog, for hotels, and you can read lots of stories about other hotels that have used the tool and how they use it and the benefits that they got from it. We also have guides on how to set it up and how to opt in. And you also have in the final slide, the next one. So Hotelogix also has information on their own page about how you can automate this process. And I think we're ready to go to questions now. So I'm happy to take some questions from everyone.
Thank you, Fernando. Just this next 15 minutes, we'll be taking up questions from everyone. You can also, there's also a Q&A section where you can type your questions in. There's a chat session as well. In case we're not able to answer any questions now, we will email the answers back to you. I believe, Fernando, we already have a question from Helder. If you check the Q&A section, she's asked a particular question.
Yes, so there is one here that says, how can a tourism entity communicate its point of interest at TripAdvisor? Okay, so this is a slightly different question related to the product that we're discussing. I'll happily answer to this after this presentation, just because myself, I need to, it's not my area of expertise, so I'll need to ask some colleagues. But do you have any questions that relate to what we discussed today?
I think we have one more question. So yes, one more question. So do you think that not asking guests to write review is part of the credibility?
Sorry, what was the question again?
Do you think that not asking guests to write reviews is part of credibility?
I think it's as John and myself we discussed, it's very important to embrace the reality and to encourage. The moment that the traveler, the user, sees, well, this seems like a disengaged property in regards to what's happening online, to their social presence, to their online reputation. It's a missed opportunity. Maybe it might not have an immediate effect in terms of credibility, depending on the size of the business, but it's really a missed opportunity. As John said, he has been able to leverage his online presence to even tap into millennials. So things are changing quite fast. How can you leverage everything that's available to you to stay up to date with this change and keep on renewing the type of demand that you're receiving for your business. So yeah, I think it can have an impact.
Right. Thank you. So there is one more question that we've got from Gaurav. He's asking, how is TripAdvisor review content partnership better than Review Express?
Review content partnership. Can you explain a bit more? What do you mean by that?
Just a minute. I'll just add Gaurav to the chat. He can ask himself. Just a minute.
Hello?
I'm just adding Gaurav here. So he'll be able to, I'm just promoting the panelist so he can ask the question.
Yeah, sure. I mean, if anybody has any other questions while we, discuss it.
Hi, Gaurav.
Hi, Konak. How are you?
I'm doing good. So we have Fernando here from TripAdvisor, and you can directly ask him a question.
Hello, Fernando. How are you?
Yeah, I'm all right. Thank you.
First of all, it was a great session. I actually, got to learn a lot regarding Review Express. So, I represent basically. I work with a company called RepUp, and we have a content partnership with TripAdvisor. I've been in touch with Lionel from your Singapore office.
Yes.
So I just wanted to, I at some level I do know the differences. I just wanted to know your point of view that what is the difference between the Review Express, that is a free tool, and the review content partnership, for which we have to sign an agreement with TripAdvisor and then get hotels on board to do that.
Okay, well, I mean, these are totally different products. I mean, Review Express is a product. It's something for hotel owners, for hotels to use. The conversation you just mentioned is a complete, it's a partnership, it's a business. It's not an individual hotel. Review Express is a product for an individual hotel. The connection that we've done with the Hotelogix, it's a technical implementation that allows individual hotels to automate a process through Hotelogix. So it is very different to what you're asking to, and I'm sure Lionel will be able to expand on that directly to you as well.
No problem. Perfect.
Yeah. Any other questions? I mean, or comments?
I'm good from my side. Thanks,
Fernando.
Thank you, Fernando.
Thank you. Yeah. Yes.
Thank you, Gaurav. So we got a question from Priyanka. She's asking, what role does PMS have to play in the whole review collection process?
Yes, great question. So when we started with Review Express, it was only a manual system, which meant every time a hotel wanted to use the tool, they needed to come into TripAdvisor, go to the area, to your business area, your management center that we call, go into Review Express, the management center of Review Express, customize a template, upload a list of emails and that they had pulled from the PMS, and then send to their guests. So as John referred to, that's very time consuming, and hotels, could not do that every day. So they were more likely to do in batches, either once a week, once a month, every other month. But what that does is that it impacts conversion. So you send out 100 emails, but if you send out 100 emails to guests that checked out a month ago, it's very likely that less people review your property. Through the PMS, by connecting to your PMS, This is a live process, as John mentioned. As soon as there is a checkout, the information is passed, through this back-end system, and the guest will receive an email 2 days after checkout. So you increase the conversion dramatically. You basically drive a lot more reviews by having this connection to the PMS, and it's a lot less work for the property owner, as they don't have to do it manually every time they want to send it. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, I hope so. We have another question. This is from Mark from Florida. So he's asking, does I think this might be for John. So he's asking, does the email automatically get sent from the hotel, or does TripAdvisor send it to them?
Does it automatically get sent from, what was that word?
Does it get automatically sent from the hotel, or does it get sent from the TripAdvisor?
From a technical standpoint, I think it comes out from a TripAdvisor server. I think that it's triggered by an action in Hotelogix. So once I'm in my command center in Hotelogix and I check that person out of the room, there's that triggers the automatic sending of the email from TripAdvisor. So they're not coming out of my server. I'm not a technical person, so it's all I can do to manage my email, let alone figure out how to, connect my little website to TripAdvisor or Hotelogix. So it's all done automatically on the back end by those two entities. I don't have to worry about any of it.
John, I like your auto-magically. I'm going to definitely use that next time. But, just to add to that, so what happens when there is a checkout and whatever that happens on Hotelogix, that information is passed to TripAdvisor, only for hotels that have accepted to do so, right? That's the first, keep that in mind. Once it gets to us, 2 days after whatever date it says on the checkout, the email is sent. We power the send of the email, but from the guest's point of view, the email is actually coming from the property. That's why, as part of the setup, one of the steps you take, you need to include a from email. So, as an example, many times, many hotels will use info@thehotelname.com or reservation@thehotelname.com. So when the user gets that email, they will see that it was powered by TripAdvisor, but sent on behalf of this hotel. So if, as a user, as a traveler, I am to reply to that email, we'll reply directly to the hotel, to that from email that the hotel chose to use.
That's an excellent point, Fernando. Technically, I don't have to do anything, but from the guest perspective, it looks like it is coming from me. But it is also kind of like co-branded TripAdvisor. It's got TripAdvisor format and content and fonts and everything, but I have customized it in terms of my logo and a picture and my words within the template.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Hi, Kunal here again. We'll be taking the last two questions. I think we already have one from David from Minnesota, and he's asking, why the 48-hour wait period before the email goes out? Is there a golden moment to catch guests in terms of reviews?
Sorry, what was the question?
It's saying there's a wait period before the email goes out. So is there a golden moment to catch guests in terms of reviews?
Oh, yes. Well, I mean, review collection, we've been doing this for a long time now. And everything is done in, aiming to maximize that conversion. And we found that 48 hours is a good time, because imagine you're traveling, you check out, it's likely that you're going back somewhere. It may take some time. So 48 hours is where we found the best results so far. But we're always monitoring that. That's the beauty of this product as well, because we are monitoring and we always be making improvements in order to maximize the results without you doing anything. That's our goal. We want to make sure that it's both the best experience from a business owner point of view, but also from the traveler, and that the product is working, is driving more content, more reviews for your property. So
thank you. So we have one last question. I think that is from Texas. So is asking that many hotel companies, specifically IHG, are discouraging hotels to send guests to TripAdvisor to rate hotels and instead to the brand.com website. How is TripAdvisor working with them to keep them motivated to still using TripAdvisor as an important tool to drive business?
Yes, well, I mean, I'm not necessarily aware of the specific point raised, but what I can say is that the number of content generated per minute, it continues to grow, and the engagement we see from users, it continues to grow. So I mean, I think it's very important to keep encouraging to happen on TripAdvisor. Obviously, groups like that, they will try to reinforce a different practice, but we still see the trust in the brand and the being an independent brand, not attached to a specific hotel. That's very important for travelers, and also being part of a global community where your reviews can be read anywhere in the world, and it can help travelers from all corners. So I think that has a lot of value for travelers, and brands should not miss that out.
Thank you, Fernando. I think that answers the question, but I hope if you have any query with respect to any particular topic that was covered in the slides, you can email it to us. We would not be taking any more questions here, but we have one question from Helder that is pending, and I think Fernando will try and get back to you, Helder, as soon as possible. And in case we would be releasing the recording of the webinar as well, and we would be sending out the links to every one of you. In case you want to see it again or share it with people, you can always benefit from it. And first and foremost, I would like to thank you, Fernando and John, for taking out the time and doing this with us. I think every time I hear this webinar, I learn something new. It was a brilliant session, and I think we all enjoyed a lot, and I hope it benefited all of you. And thank you all for joining us today for the webinar. We will be doing much more webinars in the future, and it will be great to see you all again. And hopefully we can impart some knowledge that may be able to help you out in a hotel business and help you do better. So that's it for today. This would be the end of the webinar.
Well, thank you very much from my side. It's great to see people engage and wanting to learn. Thank you, John, as well.
Thank you for having me, and I will look forward to speaking with you again soon.
Thank you, everyone.